We have a special treat today. David Lowy is our guest. David is the founding member of the band The Dead Daisies, a very successful businessman with the Westfield Group, and also a pilot who used to do air shows, but he's since retired from that, and he'll tell us why. His band, The Dead Daisies, they have a new album coming out called Radiance that we're going to talk about, along with tons of other great stuff coming right up. Okay, well, welcome, David. Hi, I'm Chuck, by the way. Nice
Hi,
to
Chuck.
meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, so Dead Daisies, new album, Radiance. You guys just released another album. Was that like a year ago? Was that 2021?
Well, yeah, we did, but we recorded it in 2019, and you know, COVID got the better of us, and we didn't release it. Holy Ground was released quite a ways after we actually recorded it. So that's why it appears that the two have come in quite close.
So when was this one written and recorded?
This was done earlier this year.
Okay, so much
Yeah.
more recent.
Yeah, it's very recent, and 6 months. We write all the time. Like we're always working on ideas. Some of us have our own ideas. Some that we bring them into the room. We collaborate together. Other songs are almost finished, and then the rest of us may critique them and change them. And it's a collaborative effort. Some songs are completely collaborative. Others are more or less written, brought into the room, and some just come from scratch. Nobody has any idea, and we just start jamming. We come up with songs. So that's the process for us. So we when we're on the road, we often there's a lot of time in rock and roll. It's one thing I learned about it. There's a lot of time traveling and waiting and sitting around where you can make use of that time and work on ideas and things, and that's what we do.
So do you guys all contribute musically and lyrically, or do certain people do only certain things?
Musically, we all contribute. This album was basically written Glenn, Doug, and myself, and Brian also had input into it. But lyrically, typically with the Dead Daisies, it's the singer has done the lyrics because on a couple of occasions where I've basically brought the song into the room, I can give a title to it. But then I like to tell the singer what I think it's about, and then let them come up with the words. But we do critique them afterwards. We do. As I said, it's a collaborative process, and we kick it around. And everybody basically has input, but in the main, the lyrics are done by the singer.
Okay, and then remind me again. I forgot the who produced this, because the producer, he co-wrote some of the music too, right? And I'm sure he helped shape it as
Uh,
well.
not so much on this album. He did. I mean, a producer always helped shape it. And I mean, Marty Fredrickson did the previous couple of albums for us, and he contributed quite a bit there as well. And on this album, Ben, it's just escaped me for a minute.
I forgot too. That's why I should have wrote it down.
A lot of things happening. A lot of things happening right now. Yeah, Ben it's a critical input of the producer, because when you get the musicians themselves writing collectively, you need somebody to be the arbiter at the end of the day, and we put it in the hands of the producer. Let him make the decision. They can see it from a bigger picture than the writers of the song. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's Ben. Is it, how do you say, Gross or Grosse?
Ben Gross. Thank
Ben
you.
Gross. So why switch? Because you said Marty Fredrickson, and I'm very familiar with him. What made the decision to change producers for this one?
I don't know. I just thought that our management takes a good look at it, and then they think, well, maybe we need something a little different, maybe a little with a different style or something a little bit different. And bands change producers from time to time, and don't take anything away from Mud. He did two fantastic albums for us. It's just that that's what was thought to do this time. And typically we let, in terms of the producer, the management of the band makes the ultimate decision on that as well. Obviously, as musicians and writers of the songs, we have input into it. But as I said, you need a final arbiter for different things. So
That's interesting. I would think that you kind of pulled the strings with a lot of this stuff because it's your band, but you're handing some of that stuff off to the management and following their lead and taking their advice. Basically, that's what you're saying.
well, the way I do different things in life other than music, the way I run my business as well. All knowledge doesn't rest with me. In fact, in the music, I'm the least knowledgeable in the band and the least experienced in it. So, I like to stand on the shoulders of giants, and let the giants make the calls, because they're going to make better calls than myself. So.
That's great advice. I love hearing this kind of stuff. This is why I wanted to interview you, because I think you're so fascinating. I love getting this kind of advice.
Yeah, I think that's, find the best people and let them do it. Let them do it.
Yeah. So the first song on the album, Face Your Fear, I love that opening riff, by the way. But I mean, I'm just thinking, like, you've accomplished so much in your life. Is there anything that you're afraid of? Is there a fear that you need to face?
Listen, we all have fears, and sometimes the more you accomplish, the more fears you have. Because I think that's a very interesting. I haven't thought about it since you mentioned it now, but I mean, the more you accomplish, the more, maybe that's what drives accomplishment, is fear.
No, so, I think that's huge. Do you ever fear like losing it all, or like?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And let me tell you something. History is something to always keep in mind. And my father's a Holocaust survivor.
I know. I read that. That's crazy.
And, things can change in an instant. Maybe I'm a bit paranoid, but the reality is we're only 3 meals away from anarchy.
I've never heard that saying before.
Well,
that's interesting. Yeah. So,
you just think, systems are so interconnected today that you can have a breakdown, a societal breakdown, very, very easily. We nearly had it in COVID. Mm-hmm. It's just imagine that you can't transact because the internet's down, or supermarket can't turn on its freezers, or you can't get cash out of a cash machine. Your credit cards don't work, and you've got a day's worth of food in your fridge. What are you going to do?
Wait, but you don't have like a bunker or a go bag or some sort of plan?
No,
doomsday prepping.
I'm not one. I'm just giving you extremes. I don't. I like to think about what are the extremes, what are the goalposts, and what's the most likely outcome. And that's not a likely outcome. That's a very, very unlikely outcome, what I just articulated. But it's just, look, I'm wearing a Doors t-shirt, right? Okay. What's the verse line in the last verse of Roadhouse Blues?
I don't know, but I love that song.
Okay. He says, I woke up this morning and I got myself a beer.
Yeah.
Okay. The future's uncertain and the end is always near.
That's that's my favorite Doors song. I love that. So that riff is just so badass. But that's a good line too. I never thought of that.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I'm not a doomsday. I like to frame things in, what's the most likely outcome, and what are the two other ends of the scale of unlikely bad outcomes and unlikely good outcomes. And 99.99% of the time you'll be within the bounds of what's reasonable, but just don't know.
You just you never thought that people would be hoarding toilet paper and all the stuff that happened over the last few years. I don't think anybody expected that.
No, so. Definitely not. Things can change very quickly.
Absolutely. The other song, okay, well, let's go through these songs here, but I love these tangents. This is amazing. Hypnotize Yourself. I love that's a kind of like a classic guitar riff. I thought,
Yeah.
what is the meaning of hypnotize yourself? Like literally, or is that a metaphor for something?
Well, look, each of these songs can mean different. The lyrics are the lyrics, as Glenn did these lyrics, but we participated in the names of the songs as well, and they mean what they mean to the individual. You
Hmm.
listen to them and take the meaning that you want to take from them, and that's how I think. It's not for me to say what is the song about. It's for the listener to get what they get from it. It might be something about what it's about for me, but you know, it, you can dig into it very deeply. You can say it's just really good raw basic rock and roll, and that's how I think about it.
Yeah. Well, and you guys have already released some of these songs as singles, like
Yeah.
Radiance and then Shine On. How are they doing? Do you worry about that kind of stuff? Like, does it get enough Spotify plays or radio play or?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we worry about it, think about it. It's not much, it's management's responsibility to do the promotion and to get it out there. And, people like it and they can hear it. The problem today is that it's the opportunity and the problem. The opportunity today, it's very easy to make music today, much cheaper than it was many years ago. And you can do it on your own. You don't need to be in a $20 million studio, and you don't need to have a massive record company behind you. You can do it and release it yourself. So that's the opportunity. But on the other hand, to get noticed is really difficult. It's really really difficult. And but yeah, we do our best. And I do look at the Spotify numbers, and I do want to know how it's doing. But yeah, but it's a tough game. The music game is a very tough game, uh, and it's got its like anything, got some great rewards, but it's tough.
Well, what is the goal for you? I mean, so you do look at the Spotify numbers, but
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, do you care if this endeavor makes? I mean, because you have money from your business stuff, so do you even care if it turns a profit? Is it more just about growing the brand and just making the band as big as possible?
Yeah, I look. I don't think about it in those terms, but to have commercial success at it would validates it. Although we've got we've got plenty of fans now. I think we've actually had 47 million Spotify plays, which is sounds a lot. It's not in the scheme of things, but it's not nothing either. We've got hundreds of thousands of monthly listeners, and when we tour in Europe, when we do our own shows, we can get between 800 and 1,500 people to a show. So we've got a solid fan base. This is our sixth studio album. Um, we have many fans that have tattooed their logo on themselves, which is something interesting. So I think the band has been a success. Didn't start the band with any goal other than to play, write, record, and perform music with people I want to spend time with, and with very very talented musicians, people who have done it all their life and more talented than myself. So
Well, do you play? Do you only do rhythm on these albums, or do you do some of the leads?
I
Or
do I do some of the leads, but why would I do leads when I got when Doug Aldrich is there? I do some of the leads on stage and some, but I love playing rhythm guitar. I mean, Malcolm Young is my hero, and
great.
huge AC/DC fan. Obviously, I grew up in Sydney, Australia, so. Um, but I am a rhythm player. That's what I've spent my time doing. I guess if I would have focused on playing lead, well, maybe I would. But it's I love playing the rhythm. I really do. I do the odd solo, but Doug is an unbelievable guitar player, and yeah. So why would I do it when when he's one of the best on the planet?
Sure. The song Cascade, I thought that was such an evil riff. That's one of my favorite riffs on the record. Is that who came up with that
Yeah.
one?
I can't remember who brought each different, because it's just it's not a one-time process. It
Yeah.
could be something that we picked up. Like I would have on my iPhone now, I don't know, maybe 300 riffs ready to go. So
Wow.
so that's how we do it, and it's really. I mean, if we Face Your Fear and Hypnotize, Glenn had the most. I think, although maybe if you spoke to Doug, he might have a different view of it. But in my mind, they were very. Glenn was very strong with those songs early on, and Shine On, I did. I did that mostly, but it was also because of COVID. It wasn't done in one sitting. We had to start and stop and start and stop, and
Mm,
it sort of goes into a bit of a haze after
sure.
what, who did what, when, how, just. But it's the end product that counts. As I said, it's a collaborative effort.
Yeah, it's a solid album. How do you narrow it down from 300 riffs? Like, do you have the other guys listen and then they pick their favorites, or do you just go, okay, of the 300, these are the 20 best? Or
Well, it could be one that, yeah. I mean, I play. What do you think of this? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Think you can do something with that? That's how we would start. That's how for me, I start it with a riff, and then get the song built around it, either myself or with the other guys. But I much prefer doing it in collaboration. That's
yeah, is that your favorite part of making music? Is making the music, putting the songs together, writing and recording, or is it playing live?
it's all good.
It's
It's all good. Music has been having the privilege to be able to participate in it. It's all good. Of course, like everything in life, it has its very difficult moments. And when you've got four band members and you've got management, and you've got a producer, and of course, you're going to have differences of opinion, and people hold strong views.
hmm.
So it can lead to friction
Hmm.
in any organization or family or sports team, or whatever you call a band, because it's all of those things. It's a
Mm-hmm.
family, it's a sport. It reminds me of all of those things. You get a group of people with a purpose, but different views and different thoughts on the purpose. So, but it's a wonderful thing to be able to play, write, and record music. It's a major part of my life. I learned piano as a child. My mother played piano, and then I played bass guitar for a couple of years at a garage band as a teenager, and then stopped for, I don't know, 25 odd years, and then just picked it up again because I wanted to do it, and I had the time, space, and changed my career at the time. It gave me the opportunity to also have music as a major part of my life, which I wasn't able to do in my 20s, 30s, and even till my mid 40s. So I'm
Yeah.
a late bloomer, if you like. Live my life in reverse, if you like.
That's awesome. I think you're living the dream. But tell me about this, like when you were playing in the cover bands early and you were like carrying your own gear and stuff,
Yeah. I did it
and
all.
you saw how badly musicians were
Yeah.
treated.
Yeah, I had my incredibly interesting experience very early on playing music. I belonged to an organization. It's a business organization. I'm not going to say the name of the organization, but um, they think of themselves much higher than they really are, and they
Mhm.
put on an annual event. And fortunately, they asked me, would my cover band play at the event? I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. It's one of the first paid gigs that I was involved in. And
And they didn't know that you were part of the Westfield group or whatever?
they did, but
Oh,
when it came to the function, the people who were organising the function, and didn't know who I was. Just as far as they were concerned, I was a band member, and they we couldn't eat with the it was a black tie event, and we had to eat in the back in the kitchen. They gave us terrible food. They treated us like absolute shit. Not the organizers, but the people running the event, like the event organizers, event
Yeah.
kitchen staff, everybody. You know, we were just treated like absolute crap. And I thought, wow, this is how musicians get treated. This is terrible. I'm never going to be, if I get involved in something, musicians need to be treated with respect. It's a talent that just doesn't come either. Everybody's put an enormous amount of hard work into their craft, and often it's not respected at these type of things, unless you're unless you're a big star, and then it's the other way around.
Right. So how do you get treated? Because I would imagine, given your business success and your history with that, do people treat you differently? Do they, maybe in a good way, and maybe sometimes in a bad? Maybe you get judged, or
I don't know. I don't even think about it. Most people don't know. They don't know. They might know, but they don't know. You know, I'm a band member. We travel together. We stay together. We stay in the same places, and I don't even think about it. Actually, it's just not relevant to me. It's not relevant, and most people who come to see us, they might know my background, but they come to see the music, listen to the music. People don't even ask me about it, which is a good thing.
Well, yeah, I meant more like other bands that you play with. Like, obviously the fans that come, they're just there to listen to music. I don't think that's playing. Yeah. No.
The other bands, I don't think they know. I don't think they care. You know.
Yeah.
So it's just is what just is. You know, it's a bit unusual, I suppose. It's a bit unusual, but I tell you what, it's a long, hard road, and just because you've got the financial capacity to do it, that's not what it takes. I put in a huge amount of practice playing. I practice every day, and for as much time as I can actually put in, and it's you can't buy your way into this thing, you know. If you could, there's a lot of guys around like me that play guitar, but there's not too many bands like the Dead Daisies.
No, you put together a great band, and now so you're doing a tour with Enuff Z'Nuff, right?
Yeah, we did the other night.
Is there going to be more shows added? Because I think there's only like 10 dates on the books or something like that.
Yeah, the US tour is quite a short tour. As I said, management decides when, where, how to play, who to play with. As I said, when it comes to the band, I don't do any business with the band. I don't make any decisions outside of what I need to play and when we're writing. It's not what I want to do. It's not what I don't want to do that, and I just leave it to them. Good, bad, indifferent. I think so far they've done a pretty good job. We've got a good crew. We've got good organisation, good marketing, and it's up to the songs at the end of the day. And it's about serendipity as well. Anybody who's been very successful at anything and doesn't realise that they're also been very lucky is just fooling themselves. So you need luck in anything that you do, and to get really noticed in this game, you have to be very good. You have to have very good songs. You have to be very good performers. You have to be good musicians, but you've got to have the luck of being noticed at the right time, right time, right place, right people, all those type of things. So because you can have, look, there's plenty of incredibly hardworking people out there driving cabs and Ubers because the luck just didn't intersect with them. So or not doing exactly what they want to do. So success is to be noticed. You've got to be all those things, but then you've got to have a lot of luck at the same time. So
how much do you think it is luck? Like, I thought luck was a smaller portion, like maybe 5-10% of it. You're saying luck is a big part of it.
I don't know what percentage it would be, but I know you can't get there. I know you can't be there without it. I mean, look, Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, as I read it, met each other on a bus one day, carrying albums under their arms. What if they would have got there 30 seconds later and caught a different bus? Would
That's
there be?
crazy to think of. You're right.
Well, that's a fact. You ever see the movie Sliding Doors?
Yeah, with Gwyneth
Okay.
Paltrow.
Well, check it out. You know, what I
Yeah.
mean, like, what if they wouldn't have met that day? What if they would have met somewhere else? They might have even been bigger stars. I don't know. Yeah, so there's a lot of serendipity in life. So,
Yeah, that's true. I
but,
mean, I feel like
but
they still would be successful, maybe just not as big or different bands or.
as I said, you need to have the talent, and you need to have the grit and the hard work and put in the hard yards, and then it needs to go your way in anything, in sport, business. In, you can get a top athlete that gets gets drafted into the top team and gets injured on the first game and never really makes it again. If he wouldn't have been on the field at that instant, he wouldn't have got injured. And so,
That's
that's what
true. That's definitely sports. The ball has to bounce a certain way a lot of times, and yeah.
that's life. The ball has to bounce. That's life.
Yeah. So before you started Dead Daisies and you were fully focused on business, I mean, do you feel like you have to kind of go all in with something when you do it though?
Yeah, I don't believe in doing anything in moderation. If you're gonna do, as long as it's legal, you're not going to hurt anybody, and you're not going to kill yourself. Don't do anything in moderation. Do everything to excess.
Is that how you get so successful in business? I mean, you obviously learned some of this from your father, but you guys were very successful. I'm just curious, like, I just like to pick people's brains,
Yeah.
How you got so successful. So it's like, you're just doing it to excess.
Well, in business, you've got to you got to have the right product people want, and you've got to be able to create that product at a price that's less than what people are prepared to pay for it, and you've got to be able to withstand the knocks, and because they inevitably get knocked down a lot. And I mean, in our business career, we've come very close to on a number of occasions to going bankrupt, and because you don't make it without taking risks, and sometimes it doesn't go your way. Fortunately, you get market downturns, you get all sorts of things that can happen, but we managed to navigate our way through those and survive them and make our business grow and be successful at it. So it's very hard to when you're in it. You don't always, people think you make this grand plan and you start here and you go there. It doesn't work that way. You've got to continually adjust and change with the times and change with what's happening in the external environment. There's so many variables.
Yeah. Well, what do you think just about society? And I don't know about in Australia, but I know in America, there's a lot of like anti-rich people. They don't pay their fair share of taxes and all this like evil millionaires and billionaires. What is your take on all that? Because obviously you've come from a family and you have success in business. Do you feel like that's warranted, or do you feel like that's unfair?
I don't think it's unfair. Warranted, not warranted, unfair. It's the human condition. It's just it's a fact of life, and it's understandable. There is a lot of it. Income inequality income inequality will continue to get worse by the nature of it's simple mathematics. The people who have things or who have assets, those assets tend to grow over time as economies grow over time, and people who don't have assets are not growing there. They don't have them, so they're not growing over time. So the people who have stuff, it's growing and increasing and creates a bigger disparity. It's just I don't really focus on it, think about it. I just go about my business and do the best I can, and I don't judge whether that's right, wrong, indifferent, pay their fair share. Not I pay over the years, paid huge amounts of tax, and but I got a lot for it. I've got a society, got the rule of law and order. People just can't come and take your stuff, without consequences. Got an army, military. I actually spend most. I'm based in New York now. I have been for many years, but so someone's got to pay for it. I guess the people who have the ability to generate income and employment for others, they're the ones that are going to pay the most. It's a natural thing. So um, I'm not really. I don't think about it like that.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting to hear your take on that. Yeah, it seems like that's like a hot topic these days on the.
I think it's always been I mean, it's natural. Why wouldn't it be? You know.
I just
Uh,
feel like it seems like there's this targeting towards people, but I feel like I just think everyone has a purpose in life. Everyone has should have goals. I mean, your father started as a penniless immigrant, and that's what,
yeah.
and then he built this giant business from
Yeah.
nothing, basically.
Exactly. He did,
And I
and
love those kind of stories.
yeah, yeah. And then my brothers and I joined him as soon as we finished school. I never worked anywhere else. So we've collectively put about 170 years between my father, myself, and my two brothers into building what we've built. So, yeah, but as I said, we had a lot of luck on the way. Um, I think, um, there's natural pushes and pulls in society, and there's power bases, and power bases shift over time, and everybody's jockeying for position one way or the other. It's how human beings survive. So you got to understand it's about understanding the environment you're in and navigating your way through it. And there are always going to be detractors, and there are always going to be people who don't like you and who want what you've got, and or who want a different type of society. And there are different forms of society other than the society we live in, and there's a lot of debate. I think about it myself. What would be? Is there another way of doing it? What would be better? Um, so far, liberal democracy seems to be the one that gives the most people the most things that they might need, but who knows?
Yeah, no, it's interesting to think about. You guys, the Dead Daisies played in Cuba. I think, were you the first American rock band to go to Cuba after the embargo was lifted?
It was before the embargo. We managed to get there before the embargo. It was just before the embargo. Yeah, we went there
Yeah.
before. I think we're the first band. I think Radiohead went there in 1992 or something. We went 2015. That was a wonderful experience. Wonderful experience, and yeah, it was. I don't know how it came about. Somehow we got invited to go, and we took some friends with us and some other musicians. We had Daryl Jones with us from the Rolling Stones at the time, and also one of the backing singers from the Stones. I can't remember. Yeah, so and Richard Fortus was in the band at the time from Guns N' Roses, and Dizzy Reed. Dizzy Reed was as well. So it was Bernard Fowler. So he came with us as well. And we went to a couple of music schools, and we played in clubs, and it's just a very interesting musical experience for sure, for sure. And
What's it like in Cuba? I mean, the culture's so interesting to me.
it's a very interesting culture. Well, firstly, they love music. Their society is such that if you do go to music school and university, you get a music job afterwards. I mean, you go into the hotel we stayed in. There is no recorded music played. There's a band in the lobby. There's a band at the pool. There's a band in the restaurant. There's a band on the rooftop. And these people are all employed by the state,
Wow.
and they don't earn much, but they do actually have a job doing it. So. Just to see a different perspective is interesting, and different political system, different outlook on life. Every society's got its every society organized a certain way has got its pluses and minuses. They have their pluses and they have their minuses, just like every other.
Sure, sure. So, I mean, all the bands, places that you've toured, you've probably been everywhere, but shows with Kiss and Def Leppard and, Judas Priest, Aerosmith. Is there anyone left on your bucket list that you haven't played with that you want to?
It's great. It's great playing with these fantastic bands. It's a thrill, obviously, to meet the guys and to be on the same stage with their fans. Having said that, I think I prefer to play our own shows in a small club.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I mean, it's a great experience playing support. Sometimes I joke about it. Someone said to me, "You're opening for Judas Priest tonight." I said, "Well, you could look at it like that. Someone could say, well, maybe they're closing for us."
Right.
So that's just making a joke, not making light of it. But look, it's all types of gigs are great, even bad ones.
Yeah.
even bad ones are great. So it's all part of the journey, and obviously it's a way to promote the band, to earn fans, to get exposure. It's a great way to get exposure.
Absolutely.
A lot of our fans have come from the Kiss tours that we did. With the Kiss cruise, we've done a number of times, and with other bands, it's that's how you do it. That's how you try and get exposure to that.
Yeah.
It is hard when the fans are not there to see you.
Right.
So you've got to work very hard, and it's a challenge. It's a great challenge.
Yeah. So when you did the show, I think it was called Like No Other US tour with the Black Moods, and I'm in Arizona, so I know the Black Moods really well, and then also comedian Don Jamieson.
Yeah.
How did that go? That sounded like a fun. I wanted to see you guys were going to come here, but I think it got canceled because of COVID or whatever.
Yeah, it was a fun gig. It was fun having Don on the road with us, and having a comedian open up for you. It was it was good. It was good. Yeah, it's part of the journey, as I say.
That I think they told, was it the Black Moods or somebody told me he was actually in the middle. Like it was the Black Moods and then Don Jamieson and then yeah.
Interesting.
How did that go for him? I mean, it sounded like it went well though, that he would come out.
It was really good. No, he did really well, and it was a great addition to the tour. Something a little bit different, and he did great. He won the audience over every night, warmed them up for us, and made some jokes about us, which is good because it's important to laugh at yourself. So,
oh, really? What were the jokes about you guys? I didn't hear those.
I can't remember them now. You can ask him.
Okay. I'll have to have him back on the show. And then obviously you're still doing all the aviation stuff. I don't know if people understand. You don't just like fly a plane, to carry the band. You do like these air shows, right? So you go loops and stuff. And
I was Australian aerobatic champion in 1998, and I've flown over 1,000 air shows. And I created a museum in Australia for military aircraft, basically to honour the men and women that served in our Air Force and the Armed Forces of Australia. It's more about the people in the aircraft. Having said that, it's one of the best aircraft collections that there are. I've got 2 World War II Spitfires that I fly. I actually don't do that type of flying anymore. I stopped doing it a couple of years ago. I have had 21 friends killed doing it, and there, but for the grace of God, go I. So I thought I was flying an air show in a small ground attack jet. It's part of the collection of the museum I created, and I just felt I'm not as sharp as I used to be, and it's a very unforgiving environment air show flying at low altitude, high speed, high G forces. And I thought, well, I've done it for this long, and I've got away with it. I'm still here. Many of my friends not. So I think I'll call it a day. It's not one of those type of things that you can say to yourself, well, I should have retired yesterday.
So you can't. Yeah, no, that's smart.
I stopped doing the acrobatic flying, and now I fly mostly a business jet, which I use when I travel for my business, when I travel anywhere. But I'm like an owner driver. I drive myself everywhere. But I also fly humanitarian missions. I actually rescued some babies from and young mothers from when the war started in Ukraine. I flew into Moldova and I don't want to go into the whole story now, but I rescued some people in the very early stages of of that conflict when there were no commercial flights going anywhere near there, and flew them out and flew them to a country that would accept them. I also fly for an organisation here called Angel Flight, which people who are, it's not air ambulance, but people who have who either, particularly during COVID, who are immune deficient and could not get on an aircraft because they may be under cancer treatment and can't go with 150 people in the 737. And there's a volunteer organisation of pilots with aircraft. They'll take patients to their required. Many people go to hospitals far away from where they live, or they don't live in big cities, so they got to be picked up and flown. And so this organisation called Angel Flight Northeast, I fly for them. So I've done quite a few missions for them.
Oh, that's very cool. Well, I always end each episode with a charity. So do you want to, if people have an extra few dollars after they buy the new Dead Daisies, can they donate to that charity?
Angel Flight Northeast.
Okay.
Look it up on the web. It's a great organisation. They do.
I'll put the website in the show notes along with the Dead Daisies website. I think the new album, is it coming out September 30th? Is that the date? Yeah.
September 30th. Yeah.
Okay, great. And they can get that. And then hopefully more shows will be added. I see that you're in the U.S. and it's like you're near me, but you're not coming to Arizona yet. So hopefully that date gets added, or I'll have to make a road trip.
Hopefully. Make a road trip. Come and see us in L.A. or where's the closest we are? I think we're in L.A., Sacramento, L.A. Yeah.
Yeah, or it's like Vegas is a road trip for me too if you add Vegas or something. So cool. Okay. Thank you so much, David. This has been a lot of fun.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye. My thanks again to David Lowy. Fascinating man. He really should write a book on his life. I would definitely read that. New Dead Daisies album, Radiance, comes out on September 30th, or it's already out if you're listening to this in the future. Make sure to check the Dead Daisies website for current tour dates, or follow them on social media to keep up. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day, and shoot for the moon.